Welcome back to the H-Town Hot Seat with Dex and JP.
What's going on, everybody?
We have a name for this podcast now that we've been doing for
I know, we just came up with it.
We're back in the studio today with a very special guest, Katie Goodman. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, San Antonio sports TV star, former soccer player. You also commentate on the Houston Dash. You just do a little bit of everything. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm all over the place nowadays.
You're essentially a Renaissance woman.
Yeah, really and truly. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff I do, too, that does not broadcast it all over my social media. So, you just got to make things happen, especially when you're I wouldn't say I'm exactly starting out, but I'm still trying to carry the momentum. And it's just not easy. You gotta kind of work all corners of whatever skills you have. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
International superstar too. You went to the World Cup.
I wouldn't say superstar, but I did go to the World Cup. I had an amazing opportunity.
We're working our way to superstar.
Yeah, we're on the track. But
I mean, you got to go to what? Did you just go to Australia or did you go to New Zealand as well?
I went to Sydney and then I went to Auckland, New Zealand.
Dude,
so that was amazing. That was so cool.
How was it? How was New Zealand?
It was very rainy, and I just didn't have enough time there to get to all the pieces that I wanted to. Kind of like you imagine like all of this nature and scenic views, but that's like from where I was. That's like an hour away, and I was kind of like nose to the grindstone with soccer. But it was still cool, great people. I went to New Zealand and stayed with a friend there, so she kind of showed me some cool restaurants and things like that.
They have great food, and they have like really good. The scenery is beautiful. The people are very kind.
Yeah.
They had some of the best fish and chips I ever had.
Yeah, I'm pescatarian, so I was like in heaven. Both Sydney and Auckland.
You'd love to hear it.
Right by the seashore. Gosh, I saw so many beaches in a short period of time because my layover was in Hawaii. So I had an extended layover for 9 hours, and so I saw all these beaches in Sydney, saw them in New Zealand, see them in in Hawaii, and then even before that I was in LA, so I was at Venice Beach, and so
She's everywhere.
I was just living life
up
out
the
here.
Sun.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We love to see
Love
it.
it.
Yeah, it was amazing. And in Sydney, the people in Australia are so nice. And as I was traveling back, I felt like they could smell the Sydney on me. Because I would just randomly run into all these Australians, and they were just so happy to chat it up about Australia.
That's awesome. What were you doing for work? Like you were calling games or?
No, so I went there to shadow the Fox soccer broadcast. So I have a couple of friends there in production, and I was just like, hey, you need an intern or anything? And they're like, no, we're all booked out there. But they're like, you're welcome to come around and hang out and see, learn from everybody. I know Alexi Lawless pretty well, so he's helped me with some mentorship and things like that. And so I went out there and I just had the opportunity to do a couple of social media interviews, which were cool. But the biggest thing for me was just learning the dynamics that go into both a digital broadcast and a linear broadcast. It's a little bit different. And these pre-production meetings are very intense, and there's so much that goes into it. There's, you see 3-4 people on screen, but there's really 15 minds behind it,
That's
so
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah,
and then when the World Cup is here, you're gonna be just all up in it.
Someone better hire me, or I'm burning it all down.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah, you heard it here. No, but really, I'm hoping I'm in the mix somewhere. Of course, I am involved in a lot of men's soccer with San Antonio FC. Then I cover some Austin FC when I'm able to. My time has been taken up with San Antonio FC happily. So, they're doing great and glad to have a job there. So that's cool. I'm also getting my master's degree. So in exchange for my master's, I call all the games at University of Incarnate Word. So I've got a pretty packed out schedule between calling college games, doing that. I also call soccer for Texas State. I sideline report football. So
We don't talk about Texas State football.
Yeah. We're so mad they took our coach, but also we understand he is good.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that today.
Yeah.
I think that Texas State football is bad and should go away forever, actually. But.
Sounds like you're hurt, and that's okay. It's okay to express your feelings.
Dex is obviously a big fan of football currently.
No,
Yeah.
No.
actually, football should
Over
be
it.
abolished. It's a very dangerous sport that no one should play, especially not college kids. They have so much life in front of them.
But really and truly, though, all the head injuries, like, dang. Like, every other week, someone's, like, almost dead, and you're like, dude, I don't know.
Why are we doing
this?
this?
It's like, this is not the move, guys.
Yeah.
Could you play a less contact sport? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Dude,
Play
for
soccer.
sure.
Like,
If I,
like
well,
real
even
men.
then, soccer, we don't have shoulder pads. You know, we just take each other out
Oh,
and
I know.
break each other's knees and stuff.
Dude. People like that, and then you combine it with what, rugby?
Oh,
my
rugby,
gosh.
yeah.
That's a true
that's-
man's sport.
Yeah,
Did you
that's
check out any rugby when you were in Australia?
well, I saw it in passing,
Uh-huh.
and I kept looking like, oh, there's a soccer game, and I'm like, no, there's lines, and there's a big field goal thingy, and what's happening? Oh, that's rugby. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But speaking of San Antonio FC, can you kind of tell us about how you got involved with that and what you do there now?
yeah, so it kind of started, gosh, maybe a year or two ago. I was covering the team there just for ESPN San Antonio radio station that I did some work for. And so I was there just covering them. So around it a lot, everyone kind of got to know me. And I kind of made it obvious my aspirations to be there and to be involved. And then actually what kind of launched my sports career was they gave me a chance for the Spurs' first ever all-female broadcast. So I was a part of that with Michelle Beadle, which was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
that's
then
huge.
I
Yeah.
became a person who maybe people could reach out to if opportunities presented themselves, is the way that I kind of see it. And so everyone knew I was really into soccer, into the soccer scene. It didn't just start with that. I had already been building in other ways. You know, I had played SemiPro in 2021 with the San Antonio Athenians. I was on their YouTube show, and then I had gotten an MLS podcast where I was covering everything MLS, soccer player interviews, things like that. And then I got the radio gig, and so it was just kind of building in that way. And so
Always working.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how it kind of happens. If you're just doing the thing that you enjoy, the stepping stones will kind of present themselves. So yeah, I did that, and then the guy who was doing the color analysis was a former SAFC player. He moved, I believe, I don't know where he moved, Dallas or something.
Some
And so then they
terrible
said,
city.
hey, there's an opening. Would you be interested in doing this? And so I said, yeah, sure. And believe it or not, the same day that I got a call from SAFC, I got a call from Houston Dash.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was like, I don't know what I did today to deserve all this luck, but I am living it. So yeah, no, it was cool. He was just like, hey, it was more of like a one game situation. Hey, can you fill in? It was last minute. I think they hadn't found, or maybe they had found someone and then they couldn't come at the last minute, so I stepped in. And then they're like, hey, do you want the rest? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Sure.
It's like literally just walked into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
awesome.
less than
Impressive.
24 hours to prep for the game.
Wow.
I was actually calling a baseball game at UIW, and then they texted me, hey, can you do this game tomorrow night? And I just go, yes, absolutely. I will figure it out. And so stayed up late that night, got up early the next day, just made it work.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So you came into town today to call the Dash game, but the Dash were in San Diego. So
Right, it was a
you're-
remote call.
So you're just in,
which is hard.
You're in Shell Energy
only
Stadium, just
imagine.
like
Yeah, we were in the press conference room, and that was really interesting because the intro on camera is typically just me and Glenn standing up. We have our headsets on. We're looking into a camera talking, but this one was in the press conference, so they wanted our intro to be on stage, in seats, and the camera was way across the room, and it was a tiny little camera, which was a good camera. But there's all kinds of audio stuff, so, you know, you want to hear the producer, and we forgot the comms. No one connected the seats to the comms, and then the way that we call the game is with the headsets, which were on the other side of the room. So I was like, well, I've been through this before, through all of the things I've done. So I said, hey, you could just put an earbud in and have them call you on the phone, like on your cell phone, and then that's comms, you know, just. And so that's what we ended up doing.
Wow.
And we made the intro work. It was still a struggle for me. I personally was struggling to get through it. I don't know what happened. But yeah, got through it. Then we just called the rest of the game. And, you're kind of at the liberty of the camera angles that they provide you there.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because communication has to be seamless, and that's not always the case. And there's so many different broadcasts going on. There's a CBS broadcast, there's the local broadcast here, the local broadcast there. We're all trying to feed off the same cameras. So it's a lot of work for the producers on the back end to try to manage all of that.
Yeah.
And then I'm the kind of person, when I'm watching a game, I love talking X's and O's, but I like seeing the full field, because then I can, a lot of times the camera will only follow where the action is.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know, hey, why is she over here off camera not connected?
Yeah.
Or, why is the back line falling back, but you can't tell when the camera is on a certain spot? So, the things you do and you learn. And, and actually the last SAFC game I called was also remote. So it was kind of a similar situation there.
What angle do they have y'all watching? Like when you're calling the game? Like, is it just the broadcast angle, or is it?
Yeah, it's just 2 flat screen TVs, and you're looking at whatever you guys see on TV is what we're looking at.
Jeez.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's
So,
tough.
Yeah. But it's also not as bad as you think. That you just have to be a little more prepared with talking points and storylines, and you can't lean as much on the X's and O's sometimes because you can't always see everything.
So like when they're like showing replays or whatever, y'all are just seeing them for the first time at the same time we're seeing them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm, yeah. And that's how it is all the time because it's so fast.
Yeah.
So you don't have time to think about, it's almost like you see it happen, you have your initial thought, and then you just bring that initial thought back. There's no time to second guess yourself.
Yeah.
You just blurt out whatever you saw.
Yeah, because you could hear, was it the confusion yesterday when Michelle got red carded? You guys were kind of just like, are we really sure that warranted a red?
I wasn't. That was a tough call because, technically she's the last offender, but it was more of a body check. It wasn't a flagrant foul. I mean, she had 2 dash players headed back. They would have intercepted her, both of them.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
what I
Friend of the
that's
program, Katie Lind, would have gotten there.
yeah. So that's why we were kind of like, I don't know. But again, that's why you can't pay me enough to be a ref.
Yeah, no.
People have asked me many times. I'm like, nope.
I just couldn't handle the cardio, honestly.
Yeah, that either.
That's a lot.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Refs just running back and forth up and down the sideline. No way. Just doing wind
I
spreads.
know line judges are just kind of
Hour
like,
and a half.
yeah, you wouldn't see me doing that. No way.
Yeah. Very tough.
So you mentioned playing semi-pro a couple of years ago. What was that like? What's the semi-pro life like?
It was rough because I am too old for that. I'm way too old for that. I stopped playing at Mississippi State in 2011. I had back surgery. So from there I went into yoga, and that's all I really did was yoga and maybe some like boot camp style fitness classes. And then 2020 rolls around. It's COVID. I ended up losing my job, and so I was just like, I don't know what to do with my time. And it was really in 2021, but 2020 was what caused all the issues for them to not be able to handle things in 2021. Anyway, they lost a bunch of clients. I was at a PR firm, so I was the one to go, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm out here. I've got all this time, and I saw not an ad, but I guess an ad on Instagram saying, hey, open tryouts. And I thought, why not dust off my cleats and let's just see what happens. Just be ridiculous, right? Like, who cares if I don't do well? And then I ended up making the travel team. And I was kind of like team mom, if I'm being honest. Had to play very differently. I used to be very fast, physical. I really relied on my speed a lot. I had to play with my brain this time. And so I think what that did was it brought out the student of the game in me, and I didn't realize just how much I knew about soccer until I was kind of forced to be in that position. And then I just happened to get on the YouTube show. I had a guy who lives in San Antonio saw all the things that I was doing in TV at the time. I was also interning at a Texas travel show, Yellow Texas, which I eventually became the host of, but I was interning there, and so he said, hey, I should connect you with the podcast crew and see if you want to do this thing. And so I was like, okay. So I go, and we do it. And I think for me, it was really hard to open up as someone who was an expert in the sport, even though I had played it my whole life since I was 4.
Yeah.
You know, it was more of like, why would people want to listen to me and my viewpoint? You know, I'm just this old lady who showed up and started playing again. Like, what?
You're like a little imposter syndrome there.
Yeah, major. And so, you know, what I found was like, as I began to sit in on this podcast and they would throw questions my way, I'd have an answer, you know, and I'm like, oh, this is the thing that you do in that situation. And that's when I realized, oh, okay, I have a chance here, you know, and this is something I enjoy. Like, I lose time talking about it. Even, you know, I was really bitter about the sport for a long time. I couldn't even watch soccer because I had to take a medical release, and, you know, I couldn't get back to it. And so coming back to it later, I was able to accept the fact that I wasn't there where I needed to be physically. I never would be again, but that I still had a lot to offer to the sport. And so I think that was my biggest takeaway from that time. I would never replace it. I'm so happy for the way things panned out. You know, you think about like, oh my gosh, I lost my job. I don't know what to do. I'm aimless. Like, all these things are like, life is shit. And it's like, no, it doesn't. I mean, it is, but probably for a good reason, you know? So now every time, that's the thing about this career, there's ups and downs. There's all these highs where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this thing and I'm on this broadcast. And then the next minute you crash and burn, but then you come right back up and then you crash and burn again. So then you realize, okay, this is a roller coaster. This isn't just a straight up car driving down the street. We're on a freaking roller coaster here. And so you just realize, oh, it's part of it. And you don't even, like, it's very hard to offend me nowadays because they've kind of built up a tolerance for it at this point. But yeah, no, I know that's a very long-winded answer, but
That was great though.
Yeah.
Very informative there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 'cause I mean that the roller coaster of emotion that makes me laugh.
Right.
We for sure
apologize.
get it.
yes,
Because
it is
we'll have
true.
moments here where we're like, Apollo's the greatest thing ever. Like, everything is going great. This is fantastic. Like, my life is changing. And then it's like, maybe it's not.
I feel like we're like humbled every day. Constantly,
Oh, absolutely. Same. If it's not someone else, it's me humbling myself. I'm like, you dumbass. Why'd you do that? You know? I know we've all had those moments, though.
Absolutely.
But it's different when you're under a microscope on a screen and people expect perfection and expertise, you know? Like, we're all humans out here.
Yeah. We're just doing the best we can.
Yeah.
So you're from San Antonio?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell me about how you ended up at Mississippi State.
Oh, yeah, soccer. Thank goodness for soccer. So my sister actually played at Mississippi State. She was part of the first team. She was a captain there. So it's crazy how soccer has changed. You know, like, when I went into it, it was like, okay, it's becoming popular. U.S. Women's National Team, they're killing it. Like, all right, we're like right on cue. But when my sister started, they had nobody to look up to. You know, they were just like, oh, we like this sport and we enjoy it. And, you know, it can get us a scholarship because thank God for Title IX. Like, I think Title IX is the main reason that women's soccer even became a thing, because they needed, you know, evenness in sports. Yeah. And so that's how I ended up getting over there. They also had a communications program. So I started out in broadcasting, and then I switched to international business and Spanish, and that's what I walked away with. But looking back on it now, I probably should have stuck it out with communications, you know, and I just had no idea. And, you know, then you have influences in your life saying you're never going to make money in communications and and then I'm like, okay, I'll do whatever. It makes money, I guess. That's important.
Touche, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but you made it now.
I did.
So
I know.
there
I'm
you
like,
go.
I eventually got there. It just took
Yeah.
me a little bit of time. And, you know, I think about that a lot. Like, everybody lives with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And I think it needed to happen for me this way because I value it. Like, imagine, you know, it's hard for these young kids. They go in, they're too young to be on camera. So they go in and they work their tail off. They get bitter by it. You know, at least I'm starting to gain traction. I think my age was actually working out for me in this point in my life.
You're not wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
they say, like, your timing is divine. Like,
Yeah.
nothing will happen until it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it all worked out for you in that realm. I mean, we can all say that in certain areas of our lives. Like, we're here for a reason.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I didn't mean to go, like, full perspective here. You know?
Yeah, no, for real. No, it's
Please, preach on.
100% accurate. Yes.
Yes.
No,
Feel that,
it
yeah.
is true. It is true. And I have to remind myself of that every day, you know, and again, things aren't perfect, but they're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Do you have like a dream job?
Yeah. Oh yeah. At
wanna
this
tell us what
point,
it
you
is?
start to develop. All right, where am I going here? Like, what am I even? I'm shooting at a dartboard, but I don't know where I'm aiming. So for a minute there, it was just about like working in sports, right? Because I just couldn't fully see the full picture. You have to kind of go through it before you realize, oh, I like this and I like that. You have to do what
Yeah.
you don't like to
Try a
realize what
few
you do
things.
like. Yeah. My ideal job would be able to have a studio show, like sports newscast, but also still be able to call games, because I love getting into the nitty gritty of XOs and being an analyst and being forced to step in high pressure situations. I just operate well like that because athlete, probably. I need a certain level of cortisol to be productive. Yeah, let's be real. But I love the idea of a studio show because it offers consistency. It keeps me accountable of staying, up to date with everything that's going on. I think soccer is really my bread and butter here, so I would prefer to be in that world, but I also like basketball a lot. And then, the sideline reporting, it's really cool and I love it, but it's really hard to get into. It's also hard to make it a consistent thing, So it's more of like a one-off situation in most cases, unless you get in with a team or you're on the NFL network, right? So it's a little tough, but I find that my dream job would be sitting at a news desk, talking soccer, basketball, football, any of those.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be Stephen A. Smith in the future.
Let's hope.
That's what you're saying.
Let's hope. Let's hope. That's the goal. Yeah.
So you've talked about doing like some different soccer interviews and doing like sideline interviews for like the Spurs and things like that. Like who was your like favorite interview that you've ever done?
Putting her on the spot, dude.
Well, I'm thinking because there's a
It's kinda
couple
hot
that I
seat,
love.
baby.
Well, Keldon Johnson is just funny. He is just a goofball. You can throw any question his way, and he can handle it and make it funny. He also just understands, like, you're another person on the other side of the mic, right?
Yeah.
And so it's all comes very natural to him. But I think for me, I've interviewed Ginobili, I've interviewed Carly Lloyd. Those are my probably top 2 interviews that I've
Jeez,
done,
that's
just because
sick.
they're both my idols. Like they're
Yeah.
both like. Now I'm just waiting on Mia Hamm. Get back to me, please. I would love to interview you.
Mia Hamm, let's do
yeah,
it.
Mia.
What are we
come
waiting
through,
on?
Mia.
We waiting
yeah.
for you.
Yeah. So I can, go ahead and die after that. But yeah, no, those have been probably my favorite. Ginobili's so nice. I caught him impromptu. He was doing it's called Le Top, and it's kind of like the Tour de France of San Antonio. I laugh at that, but it's a thing. It's a thing. And he's just really into biking. Him and Fabricio Huerto, who used to be on the Spurs as well. And they were there, and I had my iPhone, and I just go, can I ask you 3 questions? And he had, retired. Nobody had really had a chance to ask him any questions. And so the interview popped off. It went viral because I just asked him the basics, like, what are you doing now? Are you enjoying life? Like, why do you bike? Like, what's next? Just simple stuff.
That's cool.
And so, yeah, and he just answered it with a breeze, and it was so nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you gotten the interview pop yet?
No, I'm scared of Pop. Low key.
I would imagine.
He's
Yeah.
he doesn't give a
I
damn.
mean, what is it? Like, Kenny and I, we've interviewed Jonathan Sanford multiple times on our podcast, and he would talk glowingly about Pops, but also it'd be like, he's an intimidating finger man. like there would be things that he would say. I forgot the story that Jonathan said. He said that he would say something before or during the lineup, or like right before the game starts, and your head coach, Greg Popovich, he'd be like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And then Jonathan's like, okay, whatever you say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too, he just doesn't like to waste time. He's pretty busy. It's not that he's a mean person. I think he's also been around so long where he's been asked a lot of dumb questions,
True.
which is easy to do,
Yeah.
especially when you're in this industry. Like, sometimes you're just like, crap, what do I ask? Literally first thing that comes to mind, or, I don't know. So can't blame him, but also still respect his authority.
Yeah. you work with the Spurs, obviously. We were talking off camera. You're very excited about Wemby.
Yeah. Yes. Needless to say.
Yeah. What are you kind of expecting from the Spurs this year?
It's going to be a rebuild year, even with Wemby. I mean, he's young. He's still got a long way to go physically. He needs to, and that's been the conversation around him. It's like, you don't want to, have him build a ton of muscle. Like, you want to change what he's doing, but you also want to build him in a way that's going to protect him to allow him to keep doing what he's best at, right? So glad that's not my job. But that's a thing that's happening. And, there's him, Jeremy Sohan, Vassell. There's a lot of good pieces, but we still need probably another season to be great. And, he did some good things in Summer League.
Yeah, he had one good game.
But Summer League is Summer League. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair to say.
And it's like, he's one of those people who, like, who's around him? Like, what tools does he have to be successful too?
Yeah.
And,
Touche.
he's just young. He's just young. Like,
Yeah.
you can't expect big things from him. And I'm of the mindset too that if you lower your expectations and they exceed them, woo!
Yeah.
It's
That's
better
my
than
world.
like being let down. I
Yeah.
mean,
Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, with him, it's like you want him to build that size. You're not wrong. Like, you see Giannis when he first came into the league, how tiny he was, and how many years it took for him to get to the bulk that he's at currently.
Right.
So I feel like that's something that a lot of fans might have to kind of gather and understand, is that, like you said, expectations. With Wemby, granted, he could hit threes from all over the court, and he could dunk on you without even trying.
He can dunk on his own three.
Yeah, dude. He's like literally a member of the Monstars from Space Jam,
Yeah.
That's what it feels like almost.
But he's no Amen Thompson. But
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's our boy. We see you on that.
Yeah, friend of the program. Cool. But so, kind of going forward in your sports career, are you looking to kind of stay like in San Antonio, stay in Texas, or are you hoping to like move to LA, to New York, or?
Well, right now things are pretty good. I'm getting a lot of opportunities. I love SAFC. I love the Spurs. I would really like to be able to continue building my career through them, but I'm also not opposed to what might open up out there. CBS is, I think, in New York. Fox is in LA. I don't remember who's in Atlanta, but there's a lot of different possibilities out there. It's just getting to those possibilities, and what is the next step for me, because I'm in kind of this weird situation where it's like there's local news, right? As in like the stuff you see on the local news, reporting the weather or whatever. And then they have their sports show. They're typically covering more high school stuff, and then just throwing in a couple of, professional hits here and there. It depends on the city. So I think for me, this, especially as I close out my master's degree, it's going to be about getting in contact with the right people who can guide me into the right direction at this point, because it's beginning to get to the point of where I'm like, I'm not too sure of the next step. Maybe an agent is in order, maybe they can help me to figure out that.
Oh, for sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But again, I'm a Spurs fan through and through. It doesn't matter where I move or who I'm covering. Just know they'll be in my heart of hearts forever. And they already were, but then the fact that they brought me onto the broadcast, they accepted me into that circle is probably the highlight of my career, to be honest.
That's awesome.
Because you have no idea how hard it is, even being a local, to get on that broadcast. Like, there aren't a ton of locals. I mean, Michelle Beadle was technically a local, but she's from Bernie, which is outside the city. I was really the only one on the broadcast that was from inner city San Antonio, So it's, I don't know, it feels like I've already conquered a big goal, but there's a lot more to do. And the longer I'm in this, the more I realize how much more work I have to do. It's just how it is.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite game you've ever called?
Oh, goodness. Probably, it was like my second or third call with SAFC, and Lamar Batista was the new signing. He is a defender. They kind of play like a 3-5-2, and so it almost feels like three center backs. Well, he comes in, he scores a bicycle kick. And then the next half he scores from half field. A chip shot over the keeper. It was totally a Hail Mary. It just happened to work out where it went over the keeper. and he scored. And so for me to walk into that, that's like the easiest game to call because you're like, that was a bicycle kick. That was a shot from half field. You're just like, your eyes are huge and you're like pumped, you know, and you're like, they're the best.
Yeah.
But the hard games are where it's a tie and you're like repeating yourself 100 times or it's the same story. Well, what's the problem? Same as it was 5 minutes ago, actually. Yeah. So.
Yeah, games like yesterday, day we're recording this, the Dash just played San Diego Wave. We're down to 10 players and just fighting for their lives out there, but not really doing much offensively. I bet games like that are tough to call. They're tough to watch, honestly.
They are because you can see the players' heart. They're putting their best effort out there. It's just not working. But again, something they've done so well, they defend well as a unit. And you always hear defense wins championships, right? But like, you got to win the game before you can win the championship. The only way you win the game is with goals. So, like, that's my thing is, like, I think for them, it's not so much who they have in the attacking third. It's the passes coming out of the midfield. It's the you know, the second or third pass before it gets to your strikers. And then what movement are your strikers doing off the ball? Ordonez, she's great, but almost every ball to her is in the air. They're hoping for her to get a header off of it. Yeah, she's fantastic at that, but you can't do that every time, you know? And then how connected are your wingers? You know, are they making late runs? Are they connected at all in the runs? The timing of the runs, things like that. And so I think Andressa Alves is going to be huge for them just because of the creativity she's going to bring to the mix. Also, Nichelle Prince hasn't been involved. And we saw a blip of 45 minutes of her. And, you know, I think it's hard when you haven't been playing in a game environment with your team to come back into it. Yeah. It's kind of like a shell shock. Sometimes I've been there, done that. When you're coming back, it's just, you can't mimic it in practice, right? Yeah. So I think she definitely has a lot to build on still. And I think for them, it's going to be about, can they figure this out before season is over? They've got to figure it out. Even if they're not going to make it to the playoffs, they have got to figure out how to make things better in the attacking third, and it's going to be about putting their strikers in a better position, and that starts with the midfield.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair.
Anyways, I digress.
No, that was awesome. Yeah. Because we're idiots. We don't know how to say any of that.
We're not soccer players. We just enjoy viewing soccer.
Yeah. Which I love. I feel like soccer's really getting a glow up here in the U.S. You know, there's a lot more people biting. We've got Messi.
Oh, yeah.
Over in Inter Miami. So, you know, more celebrities involved in the mix,
Very excited for the Open Cup final.
Oh yeah.
It's going down.
Are you going to be able to be there?
No, too much going on between SAFC and school. So, you know, football season is starting up, so lots of sideline reporting there. Yeah, but I wish.
Same. I wish they were playing.
I know,
Me
man.
too.
That just bums me
I was
out.
heartbroken when I found out it was going to be in Miami. I was like, no, why me?
Same.
Why does this keep happening to me?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll get them here eventually, and hopefully we'll win. Dynamo's starting to look better on the road now. Thank God. After being like one of the worst teams ever.
Oh my God, they were struggling real bad last season, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they've kind of been up and down this season, but it's still significantly better than last season.
The thing is, like, they're just trending upwards. Like, every game you can tell that they're in it, and their defense has been on point. The midfield has controlled everything, like with Coco, Hector, and I forgot who else. Caicedo, and I forgot who else starts with them. I don't know if you remember. Because Corey Bear's been killing it.
Corey Bear's been killing it.
I feel like the change has been Griffin Dorsey.
I love Griffin
fullback
Dorsey.
On the right side has brought so much speed and determination on that side of the ball, and you can see every time he's just crossing the other side of the field and playing on offense, he's getting balls in the box, getting people opportunities consistently.
And even like when Brad Smith comes in off the bench, like he's killing it. From,
So I mean, you know, we're trending upwards, man. I'm very, very excited.
What are you talking about? Y'all don't know how to talk about soccer. Look at that. That was fantastic. Great stuff there.
The most soccer we've ever talked on.
Pat on the back.
Hey man, that's good stuff.
You inspire us.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
And you've covered like Austin FC and stuff like that. We went to Dynamo versus Austin this year. In Austin, that was such a cool environment. It was an embarrassing game, but it's such a cool environment.
Yeah, I really like that area. Like, everyone is very passionate over there in Austin. I mean, that's the only professional team they have. So it's like just seeing the togetherness of the community, like hanging out surrounding areas over there by the Domain and everyone going crazy. I thought it was pretty cool. It's a really dope environment, reminiscent of like Seattle.
Yeah.
Like their fan section is insane.
Yeah. I feel like Austin FC has developed this culture that's hard to really even put your finger on it, but is so unique to them.
Yeah.
And I think they've just capitalized. Their branding and communications team are next level. I'm like, they're just so good at what they do.
Yeah.
Like between, you know, the different just like collaborations they do around town and different artists they bring in. You know, I think one of the last games I went to, I got a record of the best calls from last season for Austin FC,
That's
like an
sick.
actual
What?
vinyl record they
That
gave
is
to me.
super
Yeah,
dope.
so like they have like their own line of shoe now, like
Yeah.
all that.
They have,
So
like, their
just
brand polos or something.
Yeah.
Too, yeah.
yeah, so it's all good stuff there, and just the food at the stadium is a little bit higher level than you would find at most stadiums. You know, it's not like
Yeah.
your nachos and stuff. It's like brisket tacos and all those things. Yeah.
Yeah, I got pluckers while we were there. which was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I mean, Houston's got great food. Trill, you got
Yeah.
Roof Star, you got
Trill burgers.
some good local stuff. You see, Houston's trying to get on that come up
Middies.
as well. So
That's good
I need to
Love it.
explore more of that. I'm just not here often enough, you know, but
Yeah.
I feel like every time I come here, my Instagram algorithm picks up all the Houston stuff. And so I start getting these
Yeah.
restaurants popping up on my feed, and I'm like, damn, why'd I miss that?
Have you had Trill burgers yet?
I haven't.
You got to get a Trill burger.
it's so
Real.
good.
If you can't do it today, like next time you're in Houston at Sheldon State, you got to get a Trill burger. It's
Well, I'm
the best.
pescatarian, so I
Oh,
No,
don't
my
they
really
have
bad.
eat
vegan. They
burgers.
have a
Yeah,
vegan.
do they have
burger.
vegan?
They have
Okay,
vegan burger,
all
yeah.
right.
I
I'm
want to
down
try
for
it because
that.
next time I go, that was the plan. I want to try their vegan burger just out of curiosity. Because when Mike Tyson visited the actual brick and mortar to visit Bun B, he had the vegan burger, and he was like, "This is delightful." Like, yo, bro, if Mike says it, I want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was gonna ask, like, what's your favorite like atmosphere you've been in, like at a stadium?
I mean, Austin FC is always pretty awesome. Even whether they're winning or losing, it's so much intensity. When they were in the finals, that was awesome. But I think probably my best stadium experience was with SAFC at their final. It was a home game because they were the best, you know, so they got the best spot there for the final.
Yeah.
And I was there on the pitch when they won, and you know, you see all the confetti pop
Oh,
off.
yeah.
It's just like that typical chaotic experience. Everyone rushes the field. Like, God, it was amazing. I also went into the bunker before, and I was like just doing random little quick interviews, and
Yeah.
everyone was just lit. Man. It was, I know I keep saying chaos, but it was real chaos. Like,
Do they do,
people
like,
didn't even know what to
the-
say. They couldn't even like speak of how excited they were. And
They
I
do
was
like the
"Get
champagne
out."
celebration and
Oh,
all that.
Yeah, yep. Mhm.
I've always wanted to be in one of those.
Oh yeah, dude, always, man. One day.
One day.
One
We'll
day.
be there.
Mhm.
Next Rockets championship, we'll be in there.
Man,
Guarantee
cross
it.
fingers, please. 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 I am begging, Houston. Please. Come on, Rockets. We need you, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you have any other questions you wanted to ask Katie?
No, I'm good, man. I'm locked in with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I
y'all
guess
killing it.
so. Last thing, thank you to Katie Goodman for coming on with us, hanging out here in the studio. Tell the people where they can find you, Katie.
Yeah, I'm Katie Goodman is my Instagram and Twitter handle. It's at I am Katie Goodman. I'm sure you guys can share that as well. Other than that, I'm on Bally Sports or ESPN Plus quite a bit, but the best way to find me is just on my social media. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna do it for us on the Houston Hot Seat.
There you go.
Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go follow Katie. Go follow Apollo HOU, and watch soccer. We're out. Bye.
Bye.